Hey guys, so I've had some interesting conversations recently with store owners about how difficult it is for them to find a good and honest developer recently. A lot of people are getting kind of ripped off with either overcharging or overestimating the time it takes to do a project if you're working hourly. And it may actually be true. A recent project that I saw was where one developer quoted 18 hours for the project, and another developer for the same work quoted just 2 hours. And sure, different developers have different levels of skill and they may work at a different speed. If it was, say, 3 hours and 6 hours, I would find that maybe understandable. It doesn't automatically mean that the one quoting 6 hours is being dishonest, because someone might work a little bit slower. They may also provide more of a better service, more communication, more hand-holding. But still, 18 hours and 2 hours is kind of a big difference, right? Something fishy is going on there. In this video, I want to help you avoid that situation. And if you're new here, my name's Ed, I'm a freelancer. I've both worked for people as a Shopify developer, and I've also hired other developers. So I've experienced both sides. Here's my advice. If you're new to Shopify and if you're new to hiring freelancers, then I do not recommend starting by going to Upwork or going to Fiverr or any of those freelance marketplaces, because it's very hit and miss. You may find someone good, but you may also find someone who will misunderstand the project because they have bad communication skills, or someone who will make a mess out of your code, or someone who will simply overcharge and rip you off. And that might be the best scenario, actually. I'd rather be ripped off than someone actually mess up the code of my site. Anyway, instead, if it's your first time working with a developer, I recommend going with a more established and trustworthy company first. And no, I'm not talking about an agency, because Shopify agencies, for example, on the Shopify Experts marketplace, agencies will usually want to deal with bigger projects. And I think what we're talking about here is the most common type of Shopify work, which is small projects like 2 hours, 5 hours, maybe up to 10 hours of work. And for this type of work, it's not very good to go to an agency. They don't want this type of work. It's not very profitable for them. You need to be looking for freelancers. Luckily, there's a couple of companies that specialize in these kind of small tasks. And they're kind of a hybrid between a freelance marketplace and an agency. Because what they do is they test freelancers before letting them onto the platform. And they actually go through almost like a job interview with them to make sure that they have the coding skills and they have the communication skills as well to be able to provide a really good service. So the advantage of working with these companies is that you still work at freelancer rates. It's not agency rates, but because of this platform, you have a little bit more security, a bit more certainty that you won't be ripped off and that they'll do a good job. And I think the benefit for you is that you will get some experience with hiring people and you'll understand how much things cost. And then later, maybe you can move on to hiring individual developers. So I recommend 2 companies for this type of work. One is called hirign, and the other one is called StoreTasker. You'll find the links in the description, and I'll really appreciate if you use those links. There are a couple of differences between these 2 companies. First of all, StoreTasker connects you with developers, designers, marketers, different types of freelancers, and then you work with them one-on-one through the platform. You still pay through the platform, but you have this one-on-one communication with those freelancers, which is great. That's a huge advantage. The downside is that I think they only take slightly bigger projects now. For theme edits, what's on their site is that they only go from 475 upwards. Although I have seen from people I've talked to that they've taken on smaller jobs than that, but maybe get in touch with them and see what they quote. Now the other one, hirign, it still has the option to hire them for just 1 hour at $110 per hour, or you can buy a package of hours and it'll turn out to be cheaper. However, the disadvantage of hirign is that you're not guaranteed to work one-on-one with the same developer each time. Instead, you get an account manager, someone who will manage all of your projects every time you come back to them, but those projects might be done by different developers. I've spoken with some people who used hirign and the estimates that they provided seem very fair, actually very good. I would probably charge more for those projects than Hey Carson. Now there are other such companies, but I don't really have much experience with them, and I haven't spoken to anyone that's used them. Sometimes also your theme development company, like who you bought your theme from, will also provide these small development services, and you can check their website for details. So like I said, the point of this video is that in the beginning, you can use these types of services to get some experience in a relatively risk-free environment. But in the long term, I still think it's better to find a good Shopify developer that will stick with you over many years, in a similar way as you might have a mechanic or a barber or a dentist that you take your family to. A good web developer will get to know your store, your communication will get better with them over time, and they will begin to offer improvements that you can make that you hadn't thought of yourself. They'll become a valuable team member. So once you get some experience hiring people and a feel for how much things should cost, then you can go and look at these freelance marketplaces like Upwork and try to find a good developer there. So I hope you found this video interesting and valuable. Once again, if you want to check out these companies, I would really appreciate if you use those links, because that's the only way that I can really get paid for making these types of videos. I genuinely believe in these companies. They are the market leaders in this type of work. And if you have a negative experience with them, please email me and let me know. Good luck, and I'll see you next time.